What it do, everybody? Come on in, join the conversation. We are going to be talking about a tricky but self explanatory subject once you understand what you're dealing with. A lot of people, let me move these out of the way, plug these back up, y'all. I be doing remote work, so most of my conversations are either on a video chat, headphones, so I'm gonna charge that up just in case. I don't have any more meetings today, so I should be good to go. But I like to be prepared, so I'm gonna put that over there for y'all be hearing some beeping. And let me actually turn off my work phone. Give me a second. Y'all, it is a beautiful dawn. And I had an even more lovely darkness. Yes, I did. Top of the dawn, lovely people. Come on in, join the conversation. I know the algorithm gets real busy a lot of times with certain people when I come online, and that's totally fine. Again, divine people are going to hear divine messages regardless of if you want them to or not. And when you are a divine spirit in a earthly form, a lot of people forget that you also can process human emotions. And people who are godly are not going to respond to human emotions the way a human would respond to human emotions. And people think that because they are full of awareness, but they're not full of empathy. So we're going to talk about this, and I'll give you guys time to get in here because, again, a lot of people are going to be talking about this. And it's so weird how, when you're having divine conversations, people who know most of their audience are undivine, practicing witchcraft blindly, and many other things just because trying to do love spells, trying to shit on people in their families, just all types of selfish intentions. They don't really want you to listen to divine conversations because divine conversations aren't for you to judge everyone else with. The people who jump into divine conversations looking to cast judgment are usually the main people who are letting you know they are witches, who are jealous or spiteful because you have a vision the higher alignment will not give them. And again, most people forget in order to have a real high alignment, you have to have the path of the divine. And if you're not on a divine path, there's no way that you're going to be getting a spiritual conquest of any kind to go do spiritual work. Now, for the people who understand shadow work and different things, it's very few. But most of those people are not online anymore because when you do real shadow work, it puts you in a position where you understand mirrors, not just the mirrors that have clear reflectors, but the mirrors that are also known as black mirrors, which is technology in almost every form. Thank you so much for the gems. So, we are going to be talking about, again, this iffy subject because it needs to be talked about. I absolutely have a problem with people leading good spirited people into lower level situations and interactions because they are bound to worldly transitions and manifestations. People who want more worldly manifestations will never help you have divine intentions because they're speaking to you with the facade of divineness. But what they need from you is physical interaction. And in doing so, they're telling you they're going to give you, okay, divine knowledge. But divine beings are already so divine, it is nothing of the physical we desire from you. Nothing. Not your gift. We don't desire to have kids with you. We don't desire any of the things that people in their earthly form would desire from you. Okay, so we don't ask for it. We don't investigate for it. We don't meet you, and the first things we say are, "What do you bring to the table? What do you?" We come with the table, the house, everything needed. Okay, we are the sleeping troll that has been awakened, not because we asked to be awakened, but because something has awakened us. Okay, and once that happens, most of the things you think you want are not physical manifestations. Most of the time, you're trying to figure out a way to get out of your body by avoiding an earthly demise. Now, Let's talk about it, because again, a lot of people talk about eternal life and all this. You will never live forever. So to base most of your conversations around living forever, you have to be one track and one-sided in your mind and thinking. So let's get into it. Again, hitting the like button is free. You're more than welcome to do so. I don't care about the trolls or content thieves that come here. Divine conversations are perfectly fine for people who are undivine, because you are showing, when you repeat certain content, that you also, okay, have the spirit of other people who are attacking the divine alignment. And in doing so, most of these people will be left behind, and already are, when it comes to the spiritual realm, because they would not be seeking divine knowledge without interaction properly from the divine. Okay, if you can feel comfortable going to the corner store and interacting with somebody you don't know who might be a killer, who might just got out of prison, who might, if you're comfortable interacting with them, giving them 50 cents, doing this, in case sleeping with them, doing drugs with them, there's no way possible you can call yourself actually divine and pretend you can't have a proper conversation with earth beings, quote unquote, that are having divine conversations. It just means that you're a snake in human form and you won't admit it. So come join the conversation as I hit my medicinal, slow down my thoughts so that I can process them for the people who need to learn how to process their own. So, for those of you who are ready to join the conversation, hit the like button or get out. Okay? It's really that simple. Y'all know the people who lurk the most are the very people who are like, I'm the highest priestess. That's cool, but you're not. Okay? So, if you don't want to be here, go somewhere where you trust the divine people talking to you. Interaction is everything. And if you come with the wrong intentions, I promise you, you are going to be people that are going to be passed away in 2 to 3 years, if not 2 to 3 months, 2 to 3 weeks. Because undivine people have a way of pretending that divine people and their situations are your life predictions. If you really pay attention to a lot of people, there are very few people who I actually will support when it comes to tarot cards and things like that. But everyone else, if you pay attention, most of their current readings are about a situation that has nothing to do with them or the people they're talking to. This is what happens when you're trying to have divine intervention, but you are the divine interruption. Okay? And again, most people know they're the divine interruption because they keep piggybacking off of conversations they can't even finish or continue unless the divine speak. Okay, so a lot of people sit around waiting for certain people to have conversations. They know they want to continue, and in doing so, as many other people become exposed to their truth. Okay, don't ever try to judge someone who doesn't use mirrors. When most people use mirrors and you distract them away from intertwining with self, they then, when they are divine beings, to interact with you properly, have to hold the mirror up to yourself so that we can say, hey, is it really us having a bad interaction? Or is it the fact that you forgot you wanted to come here and hold a mirror to me, but I've already done my shadow work? So let me hold the mirror back up so you can make sure you understand your intentions, why you're here. And a lot of times when you do that as a divine being, most people take that as you being rude, why you care so much. If people loved you and cared about you enough, the conversations and realizations a lot of people are getting to, they would have told you years ago. They would have told you in your childhood, your teenage years, your young adult years. But when you don't have people tell you the truth about where you're lacking, when divine beings do it, it comes off as humiliation. It comes off as embarrassment. Why? Because a lot of adults have grown older, but never wiser or mature. So it looks to them as if you're insulting their intelligence, but you're doing nothing more than making them aware they're lacking intelligence, whether emotionally, physically, financially, or whatever area you are discussing. And because humans have forgotten, there are godly earth angels, there are shadow god earth angels, there are also time loopers. Most time loopers are witches. Okay? And we're going to talk about it. So, again, if you're not a hater, come in and hit the like button. It is absolutely free. And yeah, we'll go from there. It's so strange because, again, when you usually have conversations, most people talk. Okay, if you can't come into a room and speak, baby, you in the wrong room. This ain't the doctor's office. Okay, no witch doctors here, baby. So closed mouths don't get fed. But you know, most people are here listening with poor intention. So they have to move around because 9 times out of 10, whatever I'm talking about, you can't relate. Now, I want to talk about time loopers first. Okay, what is a time looper? I want you to look at your algorithm and look at how many people spend every single waking moment doing live streams. Look at how many people upload so frequently and they still can't get their point across. Okay? Those are time loopers. Time loopers do not keep up with the time. What time loopers do is keep up with everyone else's time. Okay? Ooh, Blueface and his baby mama's doing this, y'all. Okay, but where your kids at, baby? Okay, these are time loopers. If you were to pay attention to most of the tarot card readers and other people, most of these people have multiple children, and most of their kids are not grown or they're so young in their adultdom. These people don't really have time to be talking to the world about their lives, how they can do this. Most of their kids are in life struggling because the people who are time loopers did not sit enough time for those children to have a successful or comfortable adultdom. Okay, most of their children are not going into college with a nice cushion of money. They're not going with a trust fund. They're not going with anything actually established. So most time loopers are going off of the fact that they have failed to produce anything with their time. Okay, look at Sheer 7. Look at all the fake witches who come online and all of a sudden are trying to change their tune because all they can do is talk about what's outside of them. Okay, if you ever were to do your shadow work, there are plenty of people who you would just look at and listen to just a tiny tad bit. And even with your eyes closed, you would know they are not the energy you need to be interacting with. But when you are used to being a time looper yourself, you forget what it feels like to be a time waster. So time loopers are people who usually don't grow up. Okay, they can have multiple children, and a lot of times their brains and their intelligence levels age the same way their kids do based on what their kids are learning. Okay, so they'll be the people who be like, my daughter is my best friend. How? You come from two different times, dealing with different generational curses and many other things. How are you their friend? Well, when you are your daughter's and children's friends, guess what these people are implying? They're childish. Okay, in order to put away childish things, you have to admit that you are from a different time than the spirit you're birthing. Okay? Also, when you birth children, children have their own personalities. So, a lot of times when your children become your bestie, a lot of times that's only because you put your personality into them purposely. And a lot of witches do this because nobody really likes them. And when people don't really like them, they base everything they do off of how their kids will react to them and show other people they're loved. Well, look what my kids got me for Mother's Day. Look what my kids got me for Father's Day. Look what my cool. But most of the time, those kids are in college struggling. A lot of those kids don't really have the money they're spending to do certain things for their family, whether they're siblings, whomever, grandmother. A lot of them have to go get vehicles, then start taking grandma to the doctor. They have so much responsibility coming from a time where the real time looper has so much free time. Okay? Why are there so many grown women with kids online? Because they're time loopers. They lost track of time. They don't have a divine mission. And the ones who do, they don't spend every waking second online talking about the younger generational curses the younger generation is breaking. Now, there are some people who are blurring the lines of trying to pretend they are still in their 30s and 40s. And if you look at them and listen to them long enough, you're going to see they're old enough to be somebody's parent and grandparent. Therefore, the things they're talking about are not even conversations their generation has ever tried to have as a collective. Okay, these are the same people who grew up in Bible Belt, Bible thumping families, or they never went to church at all. Their parents were probably just every regular schmegler watching football, drinking beer, go give me some cigarettes ass type people. And guess what? There are a lot of people like that who come right online every day and waste your time so that you don't find the divine. For instance, a lot of times when I get online, you'll notice there are so many other people who want to do tarot cards and things like that. They come online even more when they see me online because they want to detour people from divine knowledge that is not charging them. Okay, you can't be giving them these jewels for free. We still trying to make our money. They're time loopers. Wasted so much time. The only way they can get blessed is to waste the time of other people who don't realize their time is being wasted. This is why people who are baby mamas will have poor relationships with their kids, blame the kids for everything. He always act like that. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I'm finna go on a date. I got stuff to do. You too old to be acting. They're time loopers because most of them don't care about the amount of time other people waste trying to appease them, even their own children. All they care about is who is the next person that I can seduce or take out of their time to give me something. These are low class witches and warlocks, and they specialize in nothing more than talking about divine people's experiences. They can't tell you what college is like, they've never gone. Okay, they can't tell you what dealing with working with corporate companies is like. They ain't never had a job in corporate. They've been working at 7-Eleven and the fucking MAPCO for 20 years. Okay, a lot of people can't tell you about certain situations. They are not the people they are discussing. Look at how many people do tarot cards and they will have hundreds on hundreds of people in their live streams. They be talking about my drama. How are you talking about somebody else's fake drama? Because a lot of times it's not drama, it's just the fact that people want your spot and can't take it. But if it's not you, why would that become the basis of your readings for people who are coming for self? This is how people go down a wrong path. Imagine knowing you're talking about a divine person's path and their situation, and they're in their own chats as time loopers, talking about, yeah, you so divine, you know so much spiritual stuff. People fear you, they envy you, they blah, 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 blah. And they're saying it in a way they don't care that they're lying to you. They don't care if you leave that live stream, take that advice, heed it, and then you go somewhere and you think you're so divine. You get into it with everybody you meet because you think you're right when you're wrong, listening to the wrong people. They don't care about you getting pew-pewed because you thought you was divinely protected and you're not. You're divinely vulnerable. Okay, they don't care if they tell you, yeah, go get that new job, you deserve a new job, you it's blessed, it's promised to you. They don't care if you pass away on your way to or from work. They don't care about that. They are only there because they want something to put you in a time loop. Time loops are conversations and activities that keep you coming back to them. Okay? Those are time loopers. This is what religion is. This is what most witches are. There are people who are like, don't you want my life? Don't you? And most of the time, they can't even pay their own bills. Okay, they gotta do a little sucky sucky so they can even get some light bill money, so they can get the kids lunch money all week. So they stop playing. And the people who do it the most are usually single mothers. Okay, and even the ones who aren't single. Look how many women are like, I got a husband, I got kids. Cool. So how do you have so much time in your loop to talk to people who are not the bloodline? What are you talking to, for, and about? Okay, nothing. They're time loopers. If they can connect you through time with conversation and interaction emotionally, meaning they trigger conversations that will trigger you emotionally. Okay, your kids ain't acting right. Okay, you got to pay them bills on time. They start triggering things that could actually be real things. But a lot of times, those aren't your struggle. Most people's struggle is the fact that you won't do enough shadow work to stop letting people put you in a time loop. Okay? And that's why I said I don't care how many people are here. Most of the people who come in my chat, all of my conversations go viral. They know who I am. I am that lady. So I'm not here for personal, worldly praise. Okay? It's simple to acknowledge the source, and most people can't do that. This is why I know people would have never acknowledged Jesus, Moses, or anyone else. They're too busy trying to say, that's me. I'm the chosen. Even when God speaks, they still say, I stand in the place of God and I do this and I can say it too. Okay. And by the time they do that, most of them are starting conversations they are tired of even having because they don't know where to take it next. Okay, they go back to let God do it, take it to God. They're there to talk to you to get to the next phase. God speaks through people. And if God is not speaking through you, you are a time looper, looping people into other people's time. And you don't even know how much of it they have, or if they're here on demon time or divine time. And that is important. So yeah, y'all tune in because we talking about it. Y'all know a lot of people finna take these conversations in different directions, and that's why I tell people witches take everything you say. They try to put it in their private, members only, and things like that. But they're having conversations, leading people down paths, and a lot of them are losing their main people who would even support them because they're sending them down a path of being dismantled, getting killed. Imagine the only person who would come in your chat and donate, you're lying to them, and then 2 months later, you don't ever see that name pop up in your chat again because you done told them some buffoonery and they believed it, went somewhere and got themselves murked, and you wouldn't know. You don't know these people in real life, and that's what it is. Imagine a whole bunch of time loopers who wasted their own time not having a gift, not nurturing a gift, not nurturing their families, their connections with family, not nurturing any damn thing that comes into their hands. Okay, and these are the same people who turn around acting like they can help you. Okay, nobody who got 4, 5 kids and you ain't never heard none of their kids online, not a phone call, not a. What can they teach you about family? What can they teach you about femininity and womanhood? People who are disconnected from their families, even the ones they create, are always a red flag. Because what you mean? There's not a price high enough that's going to be worth the connection of your family, especially the family you create. Is different from the one you come from. You don't choose that. But the family you create, you do choose that. So ask yourself how many quote unquote light workers and motivational speakers, how do they have so much time to motivate the world, but none of their fruit is actually worthy of being picked from the garden? Okay? If you think the younger generation is having a problem dating, who raised them? Okay? If people cannot raise divine beings because they keep ruining their purity, how in the world do you expect their parents to still be online teaching you? I don't care how good they do their makeup. I don't care how many times they rub their weave. I don't care about any of that. By the time most people realize they have been trapped by time loopers, most of them can't get out. And they end up running into more and more people just like the time loopers. Look at men and women alike who get in relationships and all they do for 5, 10, 20, 30 years is eat, sleep, have intercourse with each other, have kids with each other, complain about how they wasted their life, get a divorce, try to start over at their big ages. How much more likely are you to see that than people who are like, yeah, I've been together with my wife 37 years. And a lot of them be on here lying too. Because if you was that into your 37-year marriage, why are you online? Technology is not for every generation. And the generations who know it the most are the main people online pretending they're giving you advice in your generation that they would have never given you in person. That's what happens when you tell people you'll pay them for talking and wasting other people's time. There's always someone who doesn't realize their time is being wasted. Now, again, a lot of people come here for the wrong reasons. I don't care. Okay, when I do my divine work, I do my divine work the way it's supposed to be. So let's talk. Okay, there are a lot of situations going on right now that people cannot concur what's happening. And one of the main situations is displacement. There are a lot of people who won't talk about being displaced. A lot of them you won't know they're being displaced because they're not talking about it on the news. So there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be reaching out spiritually to people they know are better well off than them. Some of them are not going to be gay. They're going to be acting gay to get a place to stay. They're going to be people who are going to be using their kids to look for people to attach to. Okay, and a lot of times these people have already been warned, pre-warned, they need to move around. Okay, a lot of times, again, they're time loopers. So a lot of time loopers never do things in a worldly fashion, okay, or an orderly fashion, timely way, because they lose track of time. Look at how many people, okay, look at Shira 7. Shira 7 came online busted and disgusted, bragging about taking someone's husband because she felt like a leftover woman. Okay, and they never get what they think they're getting. And a lot of these same people come here and be like, I'm a witch, look what I occurred. Look what I did. I manifested. You can't manifest something that's not there for you. Okay, so becoming a part of the system so that you can pretend to stun on people who don't want to be a part of the system is not a flex. It proves you're a time looper who never had control over your own time because of the mistakes you made in your past with the wrong spirits and creating more spirits within that bad decision. That will be your children with people who you don't have a family with. You just have children with. And nobody runs their mouth and calls themselves witches like baby mamas. And if you didn't know, the real witches never have kids because the power that they use, pretty much releasing a child would take that power and give it to the child. Instead of nurturing a child with the energy of yourself, they don't understand. They keep it within themselves. Okay, so instead of focusing on, I gotta feed my kids today, y'all, I gotta do this, I gotta take them to school, like, they don't have that problem because they invested their time into self. And a lot of people who do early shadow work, they know if they want kids or not. Okay, especially those kids who have bigger families or multiple siblings and they're used to being the older child or the responsible child. A lot of those people grow up, they never want kids. Okay, never, never, never. They like, you can't convince me because I've already done it. It wasn't fun. I couldn't give attention to myself. I could barely take a nap. It was always something else. And those were not their responsibilities. They were born to time loopers. Okay, time loopers do not care about your time at all. Okay, all they care about is how much time can they make you waste investing into them and their status. And most of the time, they don't even have status. But being close to you or the attitude you give them um, towards other people in front of them, emotionally, interaction wise, makes them want you to waste time with them. Okay? These are the people who want their kids to come to all the family events, but they don't treat that child like anything. Okay, everyone in the family knows that you're always mean to them, that you put them last, different things. It happens everywhere. Okay, and I don't care about race or ethnicity. This is a every type of family problem. Okay, not saying everyone has the same exact problem, but when it comes to time loopers, people who really value their time and like to be alone, when they get time looper parents, most of them become automatic people pleasers because they don't know how much time they're going to be allowed to have. Because most of the time when they were younger growing up, that was used against them was used to nurture other people, not themselves. So when you become older, this small little habit of always nurturing everyone outside of you is the very thing that you take into older, mature relationships, romantic relationships, whatever, and you focus on that person so much you forget to put time into yourself. Okay, you're so busy waiting on him to text you back, you don't want to go walking. You're so busy trying to figure out what time he gets off work so you can do something nice. You don't leave anything for the imagination. You don't let a man chase. You don't let a woman chase. Okay, so a lot of times there are men who are so shy. As a woman, if you are an extroverted personality, you may have to talk to him. Okay, people forget there are men who are just as shy and timid as anyone else. Okay, a man being shy is not really anything other than your energy. He can't read it. Because even when men are shy, when they're able to read your energy, most of them aren't scared to approach or, you're so pretty. Um, all you can say is yes or no. Can you want to take my number? And it doesn't matter what you think. Okay, and again, for a lot of men, rejection is protection because the people rejecting them usually have less than them. And if they knew they had more, most of them would do nothing more than become a permanent time loop. The people who complain the most about baby daddy, baby mamas, what they can't admit is you're a time looper. And by the time someone realized or brought it to your attention, you were wasting their time, you already had a baby. And then you take it out on the baby, man or woman, that you had, that somebody wasted their time, or you wasted your own time trying to waste their time. Okay, like, I don't really want you like that, but I ain't finna let nobody else, you know what I'm saying, have you, because I can have you for 3 or 4 years, and you know what I'm saying, do what it do, and look like I got a girlfriend, I got a boyfriend, knowing the whole time a lot of these people don't really want the people they're wasting the time of permanently. Okay, so this is what happens. And yeah, let's talk about it a little bit deeper. So we talk about time loopers. Most time loopers are time wasters. Okay, they do not care about how much time they get you to invest into them, but most of them will never invest that time back into you if it was not a monetary physical value. Okay, they not gonna chill with you just because they chilling with you because they need a way to work. Okay, they not just going to church because God, they love God so much. A lot of these people will go to church looking for victims. Okay, they're looking for the single mom who they know is desperate and need to pay her bills and willing to do a little bit of, raunchy stuff in the bedroom to get them bills paid because your kids need a daddy. Okay, and there's women who prey on men who have their stuff together too. Even if it's minimal for what people think is adulthood, I don't think it's minimal. Man or woman, single, it is very difficult in today's economy, especially if you prioritize stuff by yourself with your own name and your own credit, stuff like that. It is more than average to have your own place in your name that you can afford. Okay? That is not average, especially not for a man. A lot of men are jilted by having their own stuff because their mothers and other people make them feel like it is their responsibility to take care of their home if they do not have somebody to time loop with. Okay. If a woman has a family, but she does not have a man, okay, a lot of children know they have to leave the home at a younger age because their mom or dad will never find someone to waste their time. At that point, what you doing? Go to the store for me. Bring me some cigarettes. Okay, your sister got a game today. You going to your sister game? They always looking for something for you to do with your time. Okay, this is how most witches work. They need you to watch them at a certain time for nothing at all, a lot of times. And they also like to sit in your face, putting on their fake aura of either femininity or masculinity. Okay, because the people who are actually feminine and masculine, they don't have to perform it. It is a natural feeling you feel in their presence. Okay, it is what it is. Now, when it comes to mirrors, let's talk about mirrors. Most witches do not like mirrors unless they are looking at themselves externally. Okay, they can put on their eyelashes, they can put on whatever, but most witches don't spend a lot of time looking in mirrors directly because it means they have to look internally. And most of them don't like to look internally, which is why they're always looking for a master potion, something. Give me a spell, give me something that I don't have to look inside of myself. Give me extra words to say, give me this, show me how to do a spell jar. They're looking for anything outside of themselves to heal themselves or help them manifest what they spiritually lack to do it themselves. Okay, so if they teach you that tucking your hair behind your ear, putting on red lipstick, and talking like a fucking anime character is gonna get you a rich man, all of a sudden you see women online like, yeah, this person taught me so much. And those same women be on here crying. Okay, this is the boyfriend effect. This is the okay. Why? Because they still can't admit a time looper played in your face. Okay, this is what witches do. They play in your face and give you situations that aren't really there. Okay, so when they be like, girl, you're so pretty, just wear this wig, wear your makeup like this, and boom, you're gonna have a rich man. Whole time, if they were that rich, would they really have time to talk to you all the time? No, they wouldn't. There's not, I don't know anyone in my medical professionals ever, as coworkers, anything, who have so much time they can just sit online and talk to people for 8 hours straight, 10 hours straight. They're time loopers. They have so much time, all they can do is waste it. Okay, a lot of these people would be better off if they got up and went walking for 6 hours. They'd be better off if they called their kids and went on a family picnic for the whole day and didn't and said, put up your phones. Okay, a lot of these people will be building things that actually have divine power, but they can't put time loopers out of the way. They're dedicated to being a time looper. Now, when it comes to mirrors, let's talk about why mirrors are representative of entities who are snakes. People who are snakes are always looking in mirrors at their outside, okay? Not their inside. And black mirrors and other things were actually made for you to look deeper into yourself so you can do shadow work. So think about all the people who are always looking in mirrors. Think about it like this. How many times have you met people or even yourself? And it's like I said, it's not bad. You just probably never thought of it this way. You're not supposed to. So imagine you getting ready to leave the house and you finna go chill with your friend, a good friend that you've known for a while, somebody you're comfortable around. And they may say, "Oh, my cousin over here." You might have a crush on that cousin, or you may just want to. You ain't seen him in a long time. You want to look decent. So, what you doing before you leave the house? Okay, you want to know what you're doing before you leave the house? Usually you grab what you need, phone, wallet, whatever, keys, and then the next thing you usually do is look in the mirror. Okay? And I forget to tell people all the time, a lot of times when you look in the mirror before you leave the house, it is absolutely bad luck. Okay? It is bad luck to look in mirrors and then leave that dimension. Okay? Because technically your spirit is still within that mirror. Your eyes are still fixated on what you saw in that mirror. So when you leave your house, you are fixated on what people are seeing about you externally. That is purposely done. Okay? That is purposely done witchcraft that you don't understand about mirrors. The more you look in them, the more you expect and walk around and think about what people think about you externally. So when you look in that mirror and you go out, whatever you see at that moment, every person you meet and make eye contact with, you're hoping they see what you saw in that mirror. Well, I thought I looked good. I thought I looked handsome. I thought I looked pretty. I thought I looked like a diva. I thought I looked like this. Okay. The last vision you see in that mirror is usually the spirit and attitude and frequencies you keep in your mind the entire time you're out. How many people do you think, instead of looking at their outward mirror, okay, they should have been looking inside? Okay, if you're leaving the house and you looking to see what you look like on the outside, why don't you take the time to use that same mirror to see what you're looking like and feeling like on the inside? Okay, a lot of people are not going to do that because they think a mirror is for external. Okay, is there a booger in my nose? Okay, and like I said, minimal things, do your thing. Okay, but most of the time, when you're looking at mirrors from an external way, you're forgetting to look within. So if you don't do shadow work, okay, you say, "Oh, I don't need to look at the inside. I'm feeling good. I look good." A lot of people only feel good when they look a certain way. Okay, if they don't look a certain way, they don't feel good because most of those people haven't done enough shadow work to understand how they feel or what they're really feeling. They want to feel what they think they see other people feeling like. Okay, real definition of everyone that looks human cannot process human emotions. That's why there's so much monkey see, monkey do. And a lot of witches, especially the low level ones, they're fixated in looking in mirrors. But most of the time, it's because they want to see how well they look, if they look good enough to snake you. Okay, can I make him spend his check? Can I make her want to have a baby with me? Do I look good enough to make her mom and them feel like she's a liar if I tell them this? A lot of people go for the image they feel like works. And as they get to learn you spiritually, a lot of times they use mirrors to judge how you're feeling when they're real empaths or when they're real witches or warlocks. Now, let me show you what I mean. Do you know how a lot of people have bathrooms that have double mirrors and things like that? Like they'll have a sink, a double sink, and two mirrors. So, meaning two people can be in there at the same time. I want you to think about why that would be. And a lot of times it's because a lot of times witches or warlocks love to be in the same room with you when there are mirrors. And while you're not paying attention, they are usually staring into parts of yourself you do not know are there or you are overlooking. Okay, pay attention to a lot of the couples channels who are always doing get ready with me, and notice that when they have a mirror and both of them are in it, there's usually one person looking at their outward, but then one of them is usually looking deeper into the other one to see what they're thinking or feeling. And they might say, "Baby, you look good in that outfit." because they can see in their frequency, through their eyes, through their emotions, okay, their reflections of emotion, that they're not feeling a certain way. She may want to say, I want to change this dress. I don't like how it look. It's showing my pudge, or it's okay, but he already sees it before she says anything, or vice versa. Okay, a lot of times people use mirrors to judge you, but they're not really judging you based on the mirror. They're judging you internally. Okay. Well, you don't always want to wear that. I don't know why you. They're judging your character, but using the mirror as a deflector from what they're talking about. Okay. It happens all the time. Think about if anybody in your life is always having conversations with you in front of mirrors. A lot of people are not themselves when the mirror is in front of them. Okay. And people who are very superficial, people who do a lot of fake witchcraft, they do not react well when there are mirrors around, because what they are always thinking is, do people see my darkness? Okay, people who love mirrors and I'm the finest, I'm the baddest, these are the most, usually the most insecure people ever. Okay, they are, because past what they see on the outside, a lot of times they can't manifest, or they go through certain situations outside of that mirror because they won't look into the mirror, into their own eyes. Okay, those eyes can see a booger in their nose. Those eyes can see if there's a hair out of place. They can see if the eyeliner's smudged. Okay, they can see if you look thick today. They can see if you to gain 2 pounds since yesterday. Their eyes can see everything on the surface, but a lot of them can't even look in their own children's eyes and tell if they're hurting. Okay, those kids be in the mirror. Why you looking like that? Fix your face. Okay, you got food to eat. You gotta. They can't even see human emotions, and this is what mirrors were originally for. Okay, and again, when you are divine, you use mirrors to look deeper within self, and for the divine, who are earth angels, a lot of people try to play in your mirror. Okay, they try to depict, witches and warlocks have a way of trying to depict what they want you to see as. Okay, as long as they see you the way they want to see you, they're able to trick and react to you a certain way. But if you ever were to change who you are, and they don't like the mirror reflection they see, it becomes war. It becomes, well, I don't like you. I think you're ugly. They're judging the parts of you they can't see. Okay, it's not always external. And for the people who are very shallow, they're still not judging you internally. Okay? They can only see outside of you unless you let them in. Okay? Nobody does or tries to do more witchy things than people who are always trying to hold a mirror up to you. Okay? You like the hairstyle? You like that outfit? They're always waiting to see your inner expression, but they need you to tell them. Okay, the only times a lot of them don't have to ask you is when you're in front of a mirror. Okay, a lot of times when you're in front of a mirror, that is when most witches and warlocks do a lot of their musing. Okay, they'll be like, "You like that dress?" Okay, they'll start feeling on you and, "Oh, you look good, baby." They are in front of mirrors, and they know that energy is going to transfer. So the next time you're in that mirror, you're going to think about that moment. Okay, the next time you pass by another mirror, you're probably still thinking about that moment. The moments you have in front of mirrors never really go away. Ask yourself why there are so many mirrors in your home, why basic decoration involves mirrors. And then ask yourself why people who say they believe in God but really worship the devil, okay, in reverse, never have mirrors in their homes. Look at the Kardashians and many, many other people. They can't look in a mirror to save their life, especially one inside of their homes, or if somebody is not in there with them. A lot of them cannot deal with the person they are in shadow, in dark. Okay, and for the people who don't like to deal with their shadows, you know what they usually do? They always have a really bright light when they're around mirrors. Look at how many people need ring lights just to do a live stream. So you mean people can't hear what you're saying if you don't have a ring light? It's because most of them have dark spirits and they never really want you to look into their eyes. Okay, when they say the eyes are the windows to the soul, don't nobody need better lighting than a witch and a warlock. I said what I said. People who really have divine spirits or have good intentions usually,
Okay, most of them are willing to come on camera. If it's a little dark, oh, I'll turn on the kitchen light. Okay, is that better, guys? Cool. They don't need the filters. They don't need all the extra stuff that will make you be like, oh, okay. Okay, but what it is you're turning up your light so you can conceal your darkness. Okay, there are so many people who could have the same conversations sitting in a dark room, looking on a dark screen. They can't because they're addicted to time loopers. And most time loopers need to see you to waste your time. Okay, yeah, girl, come on over here. We chilling at such and such house. You coming? Okay. Oh, you doing this today? Okay. A lot of time loopers, they don't give a damn what you got planned. All they know is you need to waste your time with them. You don't want to ride to the store with me? You don't. And a lot of people who don't understand what's happening, a lot of those people know they have bad karma coming. And they feel like a lot of times if they always have people with them who are unknowing of their darkness and their real shadows, um, they could possibly use you to defer their own demise. Okay, they might be a setup queen, set up people everywhere they go, but you don't know this and you're chilling with them. And if something happens, people might think you on the same stuff they're on and get you out the picture too because you're with what? Okay, if you're with them, they're going to assume you're on the same time. And a lot of times when you are divine, you have to remind people I don't care how you would handle things as a human being who can barely process your human emotions. When you realize that you're processing emotions from people that come with larger consequences, a lot of people forget if they're showing you anger and envy and jealousy from a distance, imagine if you let them get close enough what they're going to show you. Okay, certain things bring and breed the reactions that cause ultimate conflict. And those will be battles of life and death. Okay, these are the people who act like, yeah, it's on sight. Yeah, but a lot of these people are really addressing their own energy, but pretending to see it in you. Okay, look at how many people can't see their negative energy within self. But when it comes to other people, honey, they on fleek. Y'all, let me tell y'all this tea. I think she a bad mama whole time. Your kids can't even ask you for $20. You ain't worked in 25 years and you worried about what somebody else doing with their kids. Time loopers. Okay, you probably been in jail half your kids' damn life and still out here trying to talk to the world instead of the years you missed with your kids. Look at how many men and women become adults, have kids, and spend most of their adult life looking for other people to raise those kids with instead of trying to get to know those kids. Okay, it's a lot of people who do this. And the people who have the most kids are people who shouldn't. So when people come online, I raised my kids. I Raising your kids is not the same as preparing them for life. Anyone can raise children. At this point, you have kids raising kids, which is why you call them childish, but a lot of them don't have a choice. So if your kids are raising the other kids, your kids might be a little childish. You're putting a child in an adult's position and making it to where those children have to rely on a mentality the world has not given them yet. Okay, but oh, when you start giving them that type of responsibility and throwing them in the world a little bit too, you might send them to church with somebody and you're not there. And they might be able to act like them real selves, but not understand they're in a room full of snakes. Okay, if you don't put your kids on awareness and what they're around, most of the time, being themselves gets them in trouble and connects them to people they don't know how to disconnect from. No different than the adults who prey on your children. Most of the adults online right now who are talking about divine things and many other things, what they're really doing is trying to keep the younger generation from connecting to each other. Okay, in other words, yeah, you're 34, but this 38-year-old man don't need to be talking to you. He needs to be talking to me because I need this and I they're keeping the generations in a time loop to where you don't know if you need to be dating up, dating down, if you just don't want to date together. They are time loopers. And time loopers hate to look in a mirror. They hate to see themselves, not their outside self. But you could hold that mirror up and have a conversation and say, so how do you feel about the fact that your dad abandoned you growing up? Hold a mirror up and ask them that. Stand in the bathroom and ask them real conversations that process human raw emotions. You'll realize real quick if they're a witch and a warlock or a demon or both. Okay, because they're gonna get angry. They don't. I don't want to talk about this. I don't. A lot of these people cannot have emotional conversations in front of mirrors, and when they can, A lot of times they're so superficial and so fake. You understand what I mean when I say that mirror being there is literally keeping them from being who they wish they could be off camera, type of thing. Okay, when those camera lights, camera action come on, okay, their demons hide. Okay, and they gonna hide them even more when they know they have a dark spirit and they've done dark things. That ring light is the only thing you see in their eyes. Because if you were to ever see them without it, usually they look like they have no soul. They don't. These are the same women and men who have children and they find out their children have been molested or something. They ain't taking these people to court. They not doing anything to the people who caused their children to be victims. They gonna say that's a part of life. Men like women. Okay, and you look how you look. Look at your body. He's gonna touch you. That's why I told you to stop wearing them little shorts. And they don't defend the babies for being babies. They make the babies feel like it's their job to grow up quicker than they have to defend their own parents' negligence and recklessness when it comes to them loving the only thing you have to worry about. Time loopers do not love what they create. They look for a way to find something to do with their time other than waste it on people who need it the most. Okay? If you're busy nurturing someone else that's a part of yourself, that part of yourself is going to go up and out and do better than you did at that age because 9 times out of 10, you didn't have what you have the ability to provide them with. So imagine when you're telling your kids, look, this is how you get a man to give you money. This is how you, baby, that's the first thing you need to be doing is teaching them how to get their own money so they don't run into somebody that's a P. Diddy. So they don't run into people who are going to put them in financial situations they have to pay with for their life. Okay? And this happens to a lot of people. I don't care what y'all say. The amount of women who seem like they should be living in their skinny privilege era, as they call it, half of them are online with a post selling themselves. $60 for this. Okay, I'll do this for, and I'll be thinking, y'all forgot Jeffrey Dahmers and shit exists, didn't you? If you think it was bad in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you imagine how bad it is now and why the missing people records are so high and they can't get to them. Okay, and if you think the kids are missing, just think about how many adults people don't care about. Girl, you 42 years old and you still selling that old cat. They don't care about disappearing you. Okay, if you're willing to pretend you have all the time in the world to waste, there's always somebody who gonna help you waste it in a way they can benefit. And this is why pimps still exist. This is why prostitution is still one of the biggest things that is legal and about one of the only things besides pedophilia you can go to jail for and get out before anybody else. I said what I said. And it don't matter who you are, what race you are, what ethnicity, most of these things are things that people won't talk about. Okay, most of the people online right now are somebody's mama and granddaddy. And the generations y'all trying to talk to, you can't even find because there's so many people purposely trying to rely on their own narcissism to keep you from finding them. There's not 800 something live streams on for no reason. It's because they know if they're one of the people blocking you, there's less time for you to find someone else to invest in, to actually see them for who they are. Because why be yourself when you can be invested in for being someone else? And this is where people meet their fate. Because again, there are many people who tried to do the same thing you're doing. And most of them have passed away and passed away young. They say the good die young. No, the naive die young. Okay? The people who got sense and use it, they get older. Okay? A lot of people forget that the only reason why certain people are still alive in this generation today is because they did not allow people with bad energy and spirits and backdoor energy to get them out of here. Okay? Half the people you don't see that you thinking about, a lot of people backdoored them. That's why they not here. Okay, family knew about it. Yeah, her husband. How many people gonna speak out about it? None. Okay. Oh, yes, she was sick, but the doctor gave her some trial medicine, and they don't speak up for the people they're watching go through torment even while they're living. So think about how hard a lot of people go to defend a person, quote unquote, and a spirit that's dead. Don't talk to me about Jesus if you can't talk to me about being molested when I was younger. Okay, you don't know shit Jesus went through because Jesus didn't talk to you. He ain't talking to you now. Imagine people who can't have conversations in an earthly form pretend they having divine conversations. If you can't connect with me in this form, ain't no way something in another form can connect with you and actually get through to you. Okay, this is why people who have divine status have to change our form to talk to people. Because if they saw us in our natural form, most people will be so in fear because of what they've been taught to call normal looking. Okay, but to the divine realm, we're gorgeous. The most gorgeous things that exist. So imagine coming into a realm with people who don't understand you're gorgeous, your vision for gorgeous, or what you're seeing. See, most of the time they're looking at your outward. We look into your soul. We look into your eyes. We look into you. We see the joy in your eyes. We see the pain that you've endured. We see the betrayal you've endured. And we love you based off of that. We deal with you based off of that. And a lot of people, you can't look at them that way because life has not humbled them. But when you come from the realm of death and shadows, the only way you can humble them is not through promising them more things in life. It's letting them know they're speeding up their path to death. And I can help you get all the way there. Because if you can't appreciate your vessel, you don't need to be in it. It is that simple. And a lot of people forget everyone is not here to see you act out your energy in your vessel. Some people know that that vessel was created so you can be a part of someone else's show. If people didn't get money for children, if people didn't get a lot of the attention and, oh, I'm a mom, I'm always busy, a lot of women and men alike would never have kids. Okay, if they stop giving you them income tax, if they stop telling you you're a good person because you're a good mom or you're a great mom, you're a great dad, most people will never have kids. Okay, because they get nothing spiritually out of it. No appreciation, no praise. And then look at how many people have kids who taunt people who don't have kids, but those people are going through more life interactions than any of the people who do. Because most people already know if you don't interact with your children in a godly, obsessed way, how can you have something and not be obsessed with the outcome of its being? Okay? It's absolutely impossible for you to connect with someone outside of your being and do it. It's fake. You're a time looper. Okay, ain't no way you can get married and start a step family. Okay, but your original family you had with someone else, you're dissing them and talking bad about them, and they just this, and they act like you can't do that. That is not divine movement. Okay, and I don't care what nobody say. Most step families are nothing more than praised broken homes. That's all they are. And because they exist, the internal bonds made to exist cannot. Because you have entered a family into the bloodline that was not asked to be there. It is not your mission to be a stepmom, to be a stepdaddy. Okay, for the people who think this, it's you are in mirror mode. Somebody mind yourself as the help. Okay, you're the help. Whether it's your parents who did this to you by adultifying you, whether it's you got married very young and all you know is serving, trying to be a good wife and mother. Okay, whatever it is, most people who struggle with people pleasing is because someone else, when you were younger, usually a parent, your grandma, whoever raised you, put you in the mind that people see you more and appreciate you more by the more you do. Ooh, you came in, you washed all the dishes, you cooked for your family, you let your sister borrow whatever, even though she don't give it back. Like after a while, you start giving away everything to where people look at you as a mat. Okay, you're just a mat for them to step over whenever they need to step over it. Okay, my feet got wet today. I need to step on you. Okay, in other words, yeah, I need $40. I know you got it. But these are the same people who, if they're up, okay, if they ever feel up for real and high, you don't ever hear from them. Okay, you don't hear from them at all. I tell people a lot of times, ain't no way people got time to be online 8, 10 hours talking to strangers and not think about the people you really love. After a while, I'll be on here for a little bit like, okay, enough talking to strangers. Let me call the people I love and make sure their lives are intact. Let me make sure life hasn't beat them up today. It's not about you. When you are on divine missions, life ain't just about you. You interact, you have the experiences you have, but when you are a divine being, you have to process your interactions based on if you are in human mode or godly mode. And it works just like this. You're gonna know when you're in godly mode because you can't process human emotions. A lot of times when things happen and I'm in godly mode, I have to humble myself so much so I can understand what the humans interacting with me feel like. Oh, this is jealousy. Well, I don't give a fuck about your jealousy because I'm not jealous of you. But if I was a human who couldn't process this emotion, how would I react to you? Okay, at that point, I have to use my human mind to react with people who can't see godly. And then it becomes, you're humiliating them, you're mean, you're childish, and you can't take order. Okay? And this is what I mean when I say some people still ain't got their ass whooped before. You was used to cussing people out and your parents laughed. It was like, he just bad like that. Okay, but when you're born into divine order, when things get out of line, you put it back in order. Okay, nobody's coming along to go hard for most people who are divine. Most people didn't do that for you growing up as a child. Okay, so it doesn't change when you get older. It becomes more prevalent and apparent that that's what happened. So if you can't handle small conflicts and understand when you're dealing with godly people and human people, okay, most people are going to say, well, if you're God, why are you talking to them like that? Gods are not friendly. Only the devil could convince you that God is nice. Because who else can get close to you being mean? But that's the difference. Godly people ain't trying to get close to you. They trying to get you close to yourself so that you can ascend and stop following in our shadows. People know when they're in the presence of God's, and we know when you're there too. So a lot of times we have to say, if I was a human, what would I be fucking thinking right now? This is what I would be thinking. Okay, by the time you process it, you'd be like, that's it? That's what you're feeling? Well, how do you combat those feelings? Okay, the only way you don't really process human emotions when you're in God mode is when you're out of sight, out of mind, and that usually means you're out of your body resting spiritually. It's not necessarily astral projection either. In fact, it's more similar to meditation with your eyes awake, which is something similar to what the monks do, but the monks do it with their eyes closed. So, people who understand what I'm saying, you can sit in the same spot for hours and have 50 million thoughts pass through you, compared to somebody who can sit there all day and all they thinking about is the dick they got last week. Okay, oh girl, that dick was so good. Okay, oh girl, he ain't even text me back. Oh God. Okay. People who are in godly status, they done thought about, should I go back to college? Okay, I'm gonna call my grandma, check on her. Okay, let me make sure my daughter came home from school today. People who are in divine status are always processing things outside of themselves that will return energy to them. Okay, if you wake up and you go through your day and you don't think like that, you're gonna be the person that's distraught if you get a phone call that your granny passed away, compared to someone who spends most of their time making sure granny's straight. I love you. The people who are able to do that. Okay, there's a lot of families that are so broken from the top down, you can't do that. But if you can, things hurt less when you're prepared to handle them. And death is something that you're always going to have to be prepared for if they don't outlive you. Okay, so sometimes if you don't prepare yourself to process realistic situations. See, you go from being a human to a god when death is involved, because only death can make you remember you are God again. Okay, only death can make humble you enough to remember, damn, I still got to go through this. Because the people who have gone through that are not scared of death. Okay, most people who have had life or death experiences, most of them ain't even scared to die no more. They be like, hurry up, take me out. Shit, it was not that bad. Okay, death is not here to hurt you. And most people are so scared of death because they think death is here to hurt them. Death is here to make sure you don't feel pain as you pass away. Only demons want you to feel when you're going through a godly process. Death is a godly process. You go from releasing your human sheddings to something that can't be harmed by anything in human form unless they conjure you. Okay, once they conjure you, it becomes a, and who told your bitch ass to wake me up? Okay, well, I'm here now. Okay, and a lot of people be mad at people like me because they conjured me. Oh, if you could keep me in Area 51, I'm sure you would. But that's what happens when you're godly. Everything is not made to be kept in a coop. And if you're not made to be in that coop, divine doors open so you can spread your wings and fly away. And a lot of people have been in a coop their entire life, pecking around, looking at everybody who looks like them. Okay, if you peck good enough and they can peck like you, okay, y'all besties now. Oh, girl, you drink? Me too, girl, me too. What you drinking on? Them be the same people that's gonna take your ass up out of here while you're drinking. Okay, they find your vices. Okay, see, divine people, we don't have vices. At any time, we can cut them off. In fact, the only vices we have are to connect with our human emotions. Okay, that's why I tell people, bitch, you better keep me high. Because if I ever get too low, the mirror that I see in you is not going to be what you want me to reflect back to you. And a lot of times, people forget the mirror is never really made to be held up to other people. It's for ourselves. So if you ever put yourself in the way of our mirror, do you know what's going to happen? War. Because who is this trying to get between me and myself and I? Okay, when I say me, myself, and I mean me, my spiritual, and the eyes I see with beyond this veil. Okay, that's my me, myself, and my I. Okay, it ain't no me, my, everything in this human form. Half the shit they give you in this human form is worthless. It has no value. When you pass away, you realize that because nothing comes with you but the inner work or shadow work you did or did not do. Okay, at that point, you gonna know if you was a god or a peasant on earth because the things that come with you are internal, not external. I don't care what your closet look like. I don't care how good you did your makeup. When you die, somebody else doing your makeup for the last time. It ain't you. Okay, when you pass away, them favorite shoes and your favorite car, okay, the car dealership coming to get that usually. Okay, somebody might have to sell that so they can make ends meet or even pay for your funeral. Okay, and this is how most people are faking their divine. Okay, most people, if they spouse or kids passed away today, they couldn't afford a cremation. I believe those are free. Okay, the need to attention seek off of most people's death is why a lot of people are scared to die because they would never want people to see them as valued more while they're dead than alive. But what I have to constantly remind people, when you are divine, most people are going to know when you are divine. When you die, the whole world is going to feel it. The weather might change. The people in your family for the first time, some of them may talk to each other. Okay, a lot of people block themselves from divine people because you're the only thing that holds stuff together. But they can't let you know you're the glue. Okay, if they let you know you're the glue, you might start sticking shit. Okay, you might start sticking some shit where they don't want it to go. Okay, you used to have to start hitting them with stuff the world ain't gonna give them because they don't care if you live or die. But divine people who know, they're gonna say, I know you don't like me right now, but you keep living like this is gonna happen to you. I've seen the way the man down the street look at you. You keep on trying to flirt with him and show him your ass. You keep on trying to show him that thong. You could tell he's a pedophile or he's somebody that will put you on a track somewhere. You keep on. Okay? People live long enough to find out the hard way that when you are being hard headed to divine spirit speaking, death is always lurking because they know you will never listen. Okay, when you don't listen, death is always close to you. Whether you're driving, okay, and you hurry up and send that text message and then almost swerve into a damn 18-wheeler, okay, divine is always letting you know when you need to pay attention so you can take heed or not. Because look how many times people be like, "Ooh, she passed away texting." You think that was her first time sending a text message and almost killing herself? The divine will give you a few times to be stupid. That's because they know you're thinking with your human mind. But if you ever pretend you awaken your divine mind and you keep moving stupid, the only thing waiting for you in very, very short time is going to be a situation, if not death, that's going to make you reverse everything you just did. Then gonna be the people who be like, I'm so up, I got a good job, I got a good car, do this. Next thing you know, they mama died. Okay, nobody to pay that insurance, nobody to watch them kids, nobody to do this. Just like that, somebody like, hey, you can bring your little girl to come stay here. Just like that, she done got molested. Now you got to worry. It becomes a cycle of you should have listened. Okay, it becomes a chain reaction of shit being set off that you ignored spiritually. The mirrors. Okay, a lot of times if there's too many mirrors around you, you are not doing shadow work. The more shadow work you do, the less you look in mirrors because you're looking within. You don't care what people see on the outside. And it helps you form better bonds with other people because you start looking at them past those windows to their soul. Okay, they be up there, yeah, I don't know, I ain't never done this. Whole time you look in their eyes and be like, yeah, you a set up bitch. It was nice talking to you. You don't want my phone number? My phone dead, baby. You hear what I'm saying? Okay, by the time you wake up for real, you gonna realize every interaction is spiritual. And most of the time they just trying to see if you know what your place is in this world. That's it. And nobody is constantly lurking and watching and trying to be in the way of your path than people who have had kids and failed them. Most of the tarot card readers, most of the people talking about Christianity and religion and politics and pop culture and all this shit, they are people who already failed their children. That's why they talking to you and not their bloodline. I said what I said. They can make a panel full of strangers and talk every day. They will never come on there and have conversations with their family. Okay, go look at people like Waxing with Donisha. Okay, they be showing their family dysfunction right on camera. Okay, all we do is eat, y'all. My son, 350 pounds, as a teenager, but I'm a good parent and God fearing, and we gonna pray over the food. And ma'am, stop killing your kids. Stop overfeeding them and under nurturing them. Nurture your babies. They didn't ask to grow up and be counted out for what they look like in a world where looks matter more than anything on the inside of them. And this is where they get that real battle of people won't see you for who you are, so you become something you're not, and it's usually gay. I said what I said. Most people ain't battling gayness. That's what the spirit that comes when they know you're not allowed to be yourself. And that's the only spirit most people who are divine have to ever battle, is if you think you like women or men, even if you know you don't. Okay, this is something where you get to feeling like, well, I can't communicate with men. I can't communicate with women. I think I'm gay. I think I'm. A lot of people get this energy, and it's only because the energy you're supposed to feel, you have not done shadow work enough to stop looking at mirrors. So by the time you haven't done shadow work and you process what you're going through, the spirit you have is a spirit of oneness. Meaning, if you could find a spirit like yourself who thinks what you think in the form you're in, that will be your partner. That is why a lot of people think they're gay. Okay? It ain't about just the divine and the feminine, masculine being off. It's the fact that the only spirit they have taught you to see is the spirit of homosexuality. But there are three other spirits you could choose if you don't understand love, togetherness, family. But they won't teach you that. Why? Because that means they would have to introduce you to shadow gods. See, a lot of people talk to themselves when they're alone. You ain't never alone, baby. If you ever got a mirror in your house, I promise you, you are not alone. Okay? I'm the very definition of make me gangsta walk on your ceiling because you opened the portal to let me in. And anytime you have a mirror and you leave that mirror in darkness long enough, you don't know what the fuck then came through them shadows. Go ahead and close that bathroom door with them lights off. Okay? I don't care what you think or believe in. I promise you something can come through that mirror, especially if you give it the portal it wants to see. Example, let a woman get dressed, let a man get dressed and he think he's fresh. Every mirror he looks past, they're going to look at themselves. I don't care if you're at the club, you could be walking on the street, you could be walking through a store trying on clothes. If you feel a certain way about your outward, every mirror you pass, you're going to look in it. Tell me I'm lying. When you are a shadow god or you roam in the shadow world, every time you are comfortable in your darkness,
and you look out of a portal and you see light mixed with your darkness, you're drawn to it. Why? Because they're riding your wind, and your wind is covered by darkness. Meaning, these conversations aren't had with people who are not shadow gods or connected to them. So if you start seeing things that are something your visual reflects, you see it and you move towards it. And that's why a lot of people hate to see me coming. You wouldn't ever see me coming if you weren't in the way of my path or trying to be. Then it becomes what they call vengeance. And it's not vengeance. I'm clearing the path for rage that is not mine nor yours. People get so caught up in self, they forget everybody that has an interaction with you don't care. Okay, some people gonna come in and make a bad comment about you just because they can. Then somebody's gonna come in and speak life to you because they can. Somebody's gonna come in and be like, I just felt like doing something good. I want to pay for your meal today. You see what I'm saying? So you can't assume when you're thinking with your human mind that everyone has the same intentions. There's no way possible. There's no way possible for people to really think this way. Why? People who are shadow workers do not see your light. You have to show us. We're not looking for your light. We're looking for your darkness because that's the only thing that would keep us from interacting with you in truth. The stuff you don't say, the person you are when no one's around. Okay, the way you treat your kids when ain't nobody there to hear how you talk to them. You see, you see what I'm saying? What you really do if somebody leave their wallet around you. Okay, after a while, people forget it's not what's done in the light. We can see that, baby sugar. It's what's done in the dark. And people who are connected to shadow gods, we are allowed to see so much in people's darkness. If it was up to the shadow gods, they would take you off this earth instantly. But because people who are considered earth angels have been allowed to process human emotions, we are the interference. We are the divine intervention to say, give us a second, shadow god. Okay? And all of them have names. There are 12 shadow gods. Imagine if we were to say, give me a second, shadow god. Let me interact with them as a human being to see if they understand what they're doing wrong. And a lot of times when you don't get the point across to them, they react to you in anger. You have to return that anger to them and then give your rage to the shadow god and let them decide how they want to handle them. Most of the time, if the shadow god listens to us, it only extends to humiliation. But for people who can't see through the veil, humiliation is life ending. It's life threatening. They see that as enough to take you off the earth. You embarrassed me. You hurt my. No, I'm making you aware that what you're doing is not a concept of moral law. I don't feel what you're feeling. I can only tell you what the shadow god is processing. At that point, it becomes a who are you? Why you think you better? I don't think at all. That's the difference. I feel, and if I can't feel you, you need to get the fuck out my way because I'm going to disappear you. If I can't feel what you're feeling, you are not operating in the frequency I need to be around. Period. You're in a lower energy, and there's only one interaction left to come from that collision of rage, of two things meeting each other, causing an equal and opposite reaction. And that is not something most people know how to process in an earthly way. The earthly way that has been shown has been considered emotional, but logic is the best way. Talking through problems is the best way you could ever solve them, which is why they teach you in school problem solving skills. But in order to have problem solving skills, they have to break down something into paragraph reading form to make you process something that's more than just an equation. Okay, equations look simple. What's 7 plus 2 times 9 divided by 7? Okay, compared to Alex has 12 apples, 4 oranges, and 6 bags of flour. If it's a different process and they have made everything in life appear to be an equation, when really things have become more problem solving in length. You know, when they be like, show me how you got that. Most people can't show you how they got the answer because they're not getting the answer. They're trying to fight the resolution. So if you are saying God is talking to you, how? Because when God is talking to you, you can't deal with people. Your frequency is so high, people start to feel like aliens because their thought processes, what they do, how they feel, what they breathe into, the energies they bring as soon as they walk in the room, it changes everything. Only people who are divine understand the energy shifts when you're around a lot of people. A lot of people who say they have energy shifts around a lot of people, what they usually refer to what they're feeling is anxiety. And if you ever have anxiety, you, my friend, have been bewitched. Somebody stole your emotional connections while looking at you in a mirror. You think you look good? She thinks she fine. He think he cute. He ain't fat no more. He lost 50 pounds. He alright. Most people try to condemn you as soon as they see what path you're on, or they try to press you with your human emotions. If they can get you to connect to your human emotions when there are mirrors around, you are going to be trapped for a long time. Okay? And the people who are low level witches and high level witches and warlocks, they will always make sure they have a light in their eyes. That ring light gonna always be on fleek, because if you ever see their darkness, you ain't gonna look in their eyes again. But sometimes looking in their eyes once is enough. Okay, I'm just gonna give you the truth. Okay, when it comes to people not being able to accept people who call themselves light bringers and light workers, that's strange in a world where all the light that's been given to you is also given to you from people who say they're enlightenment and knowledge. But if knowledge has been perverted, what light are you bringing into a dark world? The only thing that can lighten up a dark world is something that has a light that's not connected to people, that people can't see it on the outside. You have to shine it from the darkness and make them look a little harder and say, is that light on in there? It looked like the light on in there. Can you see if the light on in there? Okay, the real lights are dim. They're dim because you're not made to see them with your human eyes. So a lot of times the people you need to meet, they're not people who stand out. They're people who have to blend in, because if they ever were to be themselves, the whole world will critique them. People who don't really have a light, they're always the life of the party. They're always, look at my makeup, look at my hair, look. They don't have an internal essence to shine. Because if you did, most people would be okay saying, baby, I got a little crazy in me. Okay, in a world this fucked up, you think you ain't got some crazy in you? You don't need no light. What you need is some darkness so you can stop pretending that everything is straight. At that point, you can start doing some real shadow work. You can start connecting to shadow gods that let you know when something is darkening your path and it's not us, divine. Because what you're not going to do is spam my chat with false truth. Goodbye, Annabelle. Go talk to people who talk about Jesus. Period. I spit on the name. Now, when it comes to people who forget, divine beings remember more than you do. Just because you don't have a recollection of ancient history does not mean we have to pretend we understand your logic. Your logic was taught to you. If you were ever taught by divine beings, you wouldn't argue with divine beings. You would be quiet in our presence and listen. We're not here to overshadow your story, nor will we ever argue you down about it. Your story is your confession. The problem is a lot of people are trying to confess someone else's story. It sounds more appealing. It's more popular. They can get more attention off of what's deemed popular. Okay, because if they told their own story,
people like myself would stand up and give an ovation and send them $1,000, $10,000. Yo, baby daddy did what? Connect me to the human emotions more so I can see what she felt. Shall we kill him today? Okay, after a while, divine beings have to remind themselves when they're in human form. If it was up to us, anyone who harmed certain people would be deleted on sight. But because we have to think with human logic, we have to deal with situations from a counter perspective. Meaning, you went through this with this being, you still came out a certain way. If you don't wish certain things, we can't wish it for you. But if you were to ever say, I need them out of my path, would you know who to call? I don't care what you can't do in the light. It's your shadow gods who say, I don't care who's getting in your way in the light. Who do we need to move out of your shadows in the darkness? We're not here to harm you. We're not here to take your shine. We're not here to go back and forth with you about gifts. If you have one, superb. If you don't, find it. If you don't know how, we show you. That is our passion. We never get in the way of anyone. If you ever get in our path and we didn't ask, only then do you ever see us as a problem made to be solved. And you can't solve us because we came with no problems. Definitely not human ones. After a while, you have to remember earth angels don't have the same status. I had to do so many rituals to learn how to feel human emotions again after I ascended. And the reason why is because when you ascend, your mind does not allow you to go into a place of false truth. So when people try to counter your truth with false truth, it shifts your dimension to the dimension you already let go of false truths in. It is not the earth. When you do shadow work and you remove things from you spiritually that do not belong there, you leave them in dimensions of someone else's darkness that they came from. Meaning they are metaphors and metaphysical ideologies that were given to you to suppress your light and allow someone else's darkness to shine. Therefore, the only way you can get your rightful passage is to do the same thing in reverse. But understand, for you, it works out differently because you're not doing it with intent to harm or overshadow people. It's simply being able to walk in your own likeness without being ashamed of what you've been through. Look at how many people, if you were to tell your real story, okay, I will always tell people's experiences I've gone through. And something that will always stick with me the most is the fact that my best friend for like the last 12 years of my life, up until about 4 years ago, was a blind lady. Okay, my best friend was blind. Okay, couldn't see. And I don't care what nobody thought, said, or did. There was no person who was more in touch with the world around us in the physical than my blind best friend. I don't care what I could see, she could almost see it better. And people did not understand what I meant. She taught me how to see in the dark because only people who have those gifts can do that. Can't nobody see and feel vibrations better than a blind or a deaf person. And I just happened to be graced with the best friend who happened to be completely blind and lived life like she could see everything. And she was so beautiful in spirit because most of the things we processed together, she was processing it from a spiritual way. Sometimes you had to be her eyes, but most of the time she could touch things and understand everything in its essence. Oh, this is my red shirt. How do you know? Because red shirts have this film on it that feels a little smooth, but when they're green, they feel more rugged. And after a while, you be like, ain't no way in hell. Okay? But you be saying it from a place of how? The more you know. But really, it's the more you feel. Okay? So again, my blind best friend taught me so much about life. Imagine someone who can't see this world teaching you about life, how they process love and different things. Imagine looking for love when you can't see. You never thought about that one, have you? Imagine looking for love when you can't feel because you don't have arms or you don't have legs to walk. Imagine when you imagine your wedding day and you're in a wheelchair. How do you imagine your first dance? Have you ever imagined seeing yourself in life with your face burnt? Do you know how pretty you would feel with your face and skin burnt? You don't know what's to come for you in the physical. And you will never know what's to come for you in the physical if you don't process your shadow work. It is the shadows that let you know what's to come in the light. And only the light tries to repel the people who come from the shadows to put you on game. Because only few people have genies in a bottle. But the bottles are not in the light. If they were, everybody would have a genie, wouldn't they? So if the whole world is scared of your darkness and hates it, don't you think it would make sense why most people scared to be in darkness and process it, be alone in it? But one thing about the darkness, too many people ain't gonna come to darkness with you. Because if they in your darkness, about time, they darkness gonna come out. And when your darkness don't look the same as theirs, it becomes a pissing competition. Well, I did this when I was 11. I saved my dog when I was 14. Cool. So why aren't your kids happy? Why are your kids with people they should have never bonded with? Why are you still taunting your ex-husband, but you wouldn't treat him right? Or vice versa. Okay, a lot of people hate their darkness. But as a divine being from the shadows, it really hurts when you have to remind people, if I had more knowledge of a real light, I could shine your real light on you. But because your light isn't real, I have to shine on you what's there. And then it becomes a, why are you telling people this? Why are you doing this? I have to. It is my mission. If I go against my mission, I die. And you don't choose that. And if you ever die in your earthly form before you're ready, we are the beings who come back. And baby, we don't want to come back. Sometimes it's hard to stay as long as we're here. The amount of times I've had to leave my godly vibrations and process human emotions, I always get into a point of, mother, if you don't get my ass out of this stupid ass dimension of ungrateful, ego-filled humans, I'll take myself out. And then mother has to remind you, in my will, in my name, your job will be well done and you will come home. No pain, no suffering, and you will not remember what the humans gave you to process. It's not allowed past the ether. So if you ever leave the ether too much and leave your body, by the time you come back, there are people who can't process human emotions anymore. And it's not always divine beings who have cleared your energy. Sometimes people on demon time have cleared your energy, and they're usually witches and warlocks. Those are the people that will put you in a reprobate mind to where you forget you have a passion and an experience outside of the tangible human eyes. Okay. Same thing with, it's not what it look like, it's what it feels like. It's not what it sound like, it's how you say. It's the same thing. It's not how you roam the darkness, it's how you come back from the darkness. So if you go into the darkness with your evil intentions, with your jealousy, with your envy, by the time you run into the right reaper, we gonna tear your ass up until you get back in the light you belong in. It ain't our darkness. Darkness is for people who ready to rest. I don't know about you, but when you tired, okay, you done had a long day of battling the light and shit shining in your face all day. Okay, nothing feels worse than when you sleeping good and somebody turn on a bright light. Am I lying? And this is what people be trying to do in your darkness. But your darkness is a place to rest, away from people with a false light. At that point, when you rest in the shadows more than their false light, by the time you come out, they don't even know where to shine a damn light. You just a giant shadow they don't understand. And that is your protection. Because I don't have anything for you to shine your false light on that will affect my darkness or the light I'm protecting with it. That is how you know you're dealing with shadow gods and not witches and warlocks. You come into the darkness and you leave out with a higher mindset. You ain't coming out the darkness to compete. Girl, this the first time you feel rest. Ain't nothing like when you get ready for bed and you cut them damn lights off. Baby, that sleep get good. Okay, it gets sensual. By the time somebody come in and wake you up, you be about ready to Mike Tyson they ass. Get what you, the light, turn it off. Okay, you gotta go pee in the middle of the night. You don't even want to turn the light on. The darkness feels so good. So why would it change after you awaken from your drowsy state? Don't nothing feel better than sleep. How many times you done woke up from sleep and it feels so good you take your ass back to sleep? Stop playing with it. The darkness ain't here to hurt you. It's here to keep the light from distracting you and making your life a time loop. Light creates time loops. Darkness is still. It is light that travels. Period. Okay? That's why you can't have a party without some lights. Okay, if most people had their parties in darkness, most of them would be chiller parties where nobody be getting pew-pewed or nothing. Okay, y'all will be in there vibing. It's the flashing of the lights that brings in energies that ain't supposed to be there. But what's a party without lights and music? Oh, that's right. Peace. But people forgot what peace is like. Okay, this is why a lot of people value simple living at one point in time. You didn't have to worry about the neighbors bumping frequencies. Okay, you just woke up. You like, damn girl, it's 5:45 a.m. and you playing Sexy Red, and I just finished praying, bitch. Come on now, come on. When you in the darkness, most time you gonna come out that darkness, you don't even hear what they playing. You're so focused. Okay, you don't process human emotions the same way when you've been in real darkness, divine darkness. You come back and you be like, oh, you don't know who Sexy Red is? Oh yeah, I do. You don't like her? Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, you don't process human emotions because human emotions are made to compete and compare. Divine, divine, okay, emotionals reflect nothing more than logic. Okay, logic would say if you do something of low moral to me, I am welcome to respond to you with low moral as well. But I could also respond in a higher moral that makes you process what you did. And usually that's making you aware of how you made me feel. Okay, so I can process my human emotions and say, well, how would you like it if I did this back to you? And did it in a way you can't reflect it back to me. I don't give a damn how good you talk shit. Can't nobody talk shit like people that got gifts. Because we don't talk shit to you directly, we use our gifts. And then it becomes how am I get you back? Okay? But we weren't doing it for a back and forth. We're simply doing it so we don't have to shadow God you home to your ancestors. And the only way we can do that is make you process your human emotions you sent us. Send them back, make them feel it, make them deal with it. If not, we can send you something much more potent. And that's going to be the last time you have to process anything. So what would you rather have? Another chance or your last one? I always tell people I can be your reaper or your teacher. I absolutely let you choose. I can't go against your free will. Some people try to, but that's because they're on demon time. They can't process creativity or logic. Period. Now, when it comes to shadow gods, I'm going to be doing another live stream. And in that live stream, I'm going to break down the specific shadow gods that help you understand the methods of voodoo, why they're important, processing shadow work. Not only that, I'm going to give you specific names, and you'll understand that a lot of these names have either been shortened or added to so that you don't understand their importance. They've been made to seem like logical names.
Now, for those of you who are wanting to understand how to use your own feminine aura to manifest, we're going to talk about, for some people, depending on your bloodline, you are not manifesting. Okay? You have to infest, meaning you have to spread your aura. Okay? Now, spreading your aura seems like, well, I'm an influencer. No, it is totally different. Spreading your aura actually has to do with root work, and root work is absolutely like it sounds, outside. You are going to spread your roots outside. You have to use specific seeds to spread your aura because your blood, okay, is exactly what it is today because of the seeds that were processed in your bloodline 2, 3 generations ago. Okay? I said what I said. So a lot of times planting different seeds that are no longer produced will help you attach to feminine and masculine auras that come from the time you come from, but those absolute higher alignment feelings and vibrations did not transfer with you. Okay, you can talk about certain stuff all you want to. A lot of people don't know what powdered milk is, powdered eggs, different things. When you get through, there are certain things that have existed for a long time. If you don't eat them, drink them, different things, eventually they leave your system, they leave your aura. Okay, so people be like, eat pineapples, eat cranberries, eat avocado. You can eat whatever you want to, but there were so many other ungenetically modified things before now. And if you're in America, close to America, the outskirts, things like that, a lot of the things that you're eating are not the same as they were 50 years ago. There are many fruits and vegetables that are no longer popular staples, and those are the only staples that will help you fix your divine masculine and your divine feminine. Why? Because they produce different chemical compounds that, when interacted with your natural blood, create different frequencies within you. Your mind, your processing, they make you release things in your body that you don't understand are stuck in between the chemicals and the high metal contents that are in your genetically modified foods. I do not care who you are. If you're not rich enough to afford all organic, your ass is eating some stuff that is making you one big pile of heavy metals. And heavy metals attract nothing more than toxicity, toxins, and many other things that you have to purge to get out of you. If you are full of heavy metals, there is nothing you can attract or manifest other than people who have dirty spirits and the power to bring you down. You have to release them. A lot of things that you eat, just like when you put seeds in the ground, they sprout and do other things. Those seeds usually produce other benefits to the environment, whether it's cleaning the oxygen in the air, whether it's providing other animals in that area with something healthy to feed on. It may be the reason why the ants in that color turn red and have faster speed. It may be the reason why the birds there are healthier and produce brighter colors. Different things are made to assist you in your evolvement. If you do not know what they are, how can you ever use them? And a lot of these things have been told that, oh, they don't have any value. Eating this doesn't mean anything. We have zucchinis now, so you don't have to eat this. But a lot of exotic foods that are particular to the Amazon, at one point they were not just in South America, they were in North America too. And after a while, your system, masculine or feminine, becomes addicted to these anti-inflammatory seeds, meaning you don't just eat the fruit, you eat the seeds as well. The seeds help you purge things that were planted in you unnaturally. So those seeds are going to connect and help you release a lot of those heavy metals and different things that keep you specifically from vibrating higher. Okay, you can't help nobody vibrate high if you're not vibrating high enough to process what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and why you're feeling that way. Period. And the people you have to help process these emotions first are your bloodline. Part of that, most people don't understand. The quicker you get things together with your own bloodline, especially if you created it, your kids, your wife, your husband, your whatever, the quicker you get that in order, the quicker you're able to manifest whatever you need, regardless of if you understand how you're getting it. So stay tuned. I'm going to get into my dawn a little deeper and prepare for my darkness. Y'all are welcome to
enjoy the shorts and different mantras. You're also welcome to reach out in private. A lot of the information that I have, I absolutely don't mind emailing you for free. Again, when you are blessed and you want not, your goal is not to hinder people. If you want the knowledge and you want to lead people down a more divine path, you are welcome to do that. If anything, it takes more pressure off of people like me who are putting other people in divine positions. It's not about titles. There are so many unclaimed titles in the spirit world, you wouldn't know unless you move in divine circles to get put in position. There's nothing you have to imitate. There's always a position made just for you in the spiritual realm that can't nobody fuck with you at it. Okay, everybody's gift is not in the physical. A lot of people's spiritual gift will help them realize you weren't even made to talk to a lot of people. You probably wasn't even made to have a YouTube channel, because you having a YouTube channel is going to bring demons to you who just want to take you out. Certain people don't have spiritual protections. You have not built your connections with the shadow gods, so that when you're roaming freely and doing your missions or what you think is your missions, you can say, hey, you can call on certain names, and that person who is about to attack you gonna be like, what? Okay, you're gonna startle them so much. A lot of demons don't remember their own names until they do. So stay tuned. I enjoyed talking to you guys. Thanks for coming in, hitting the like button. For those of you who want higher knowledge or to rise your positions in the divine world, you are more than welcome to reach out. There's always a will and a way, and it is her way. I will talk to you guys a little later. Have a beautiful dawn or a beautiful darkness, whatever time it is. I'll talk to you guys later. Toodles.